College candidate, when it's their turn to speak, and afterwards, we'll have some time for you to meet and greet with the candidates, but we'll do it at the conclusion of the meeting. So the first candidate to speak this evening is Jimmy Ellis.
Thank you. So, as brief as I can be after having lived here for 30 years, I've been a member of the club since '88, 32 years, and I've been a resident since '94, 27 years. I served on the club board back in the early 2000s. I was a San Antonio police officer initially. Once I got my master's degree, I left and went and pursued my PhD, ended up taking a company public, have a lot of finance, and have spent a lot of time in the medical industry. I have a great deal in the medical industry of experience with access control, security, surveillance, biometric access, facial recognition, etc. So I kind of see myself specializing in finance and specializing in security. I've seen the struggles that the club has with security. I understand the struggles. I can tell you guys that this card right here is nothing more than a credit card, and this is how I access every building I have in the state of Texas. And when I do, it shows a picture of me, it gives my name, it gives all the information. We struggle with those issues here at the club. I think that it's not a club problem, or rather an HOA problem. I think it's not a car dealer problem. I think it's a provider problem. I think it's a software problem. I think it's an access control problem because I know that technology exists because I employ it. I've been using it for years. For the last 12 years, I've been CEO of a medical firm that treats autistic kids all over the state of Texas. And we have HIPAA restrictions, and those require us to be quite diligent about all of the access control. So we've implemented biometrics, et cetera. I understand what we're trying to achieve when we shut down the gate at midnight, and I understand what we're trying to keep. We're trying to keep track of who's going in and out, and I support all of that, of course. I think greater security is the main reason we all live here. I mean, I think security is probably the #1 reason we moved here and why we stay here. And I understand that we want to provide better, and I understand that it's frustrating for the HOA when there's any sort of incident, vandalism or otherwise. I think it's not that difficult. I think solutions are not that difficult. Secondarily to that, finance. I think there could be more transparency of capital expenditures going forward, bringing the community closer to what's being spent and why. I'm not suggesting that everything that's spent is open to a vote, but I'm suggesting that capital expenditures over X, let's say 100,000, are opened up to comment. If you don't take the time to comment during a 7-day period, if you don't take the time to drive by the facility that the capital expenditure is going to be spent on, then you had your opportunity and you remained silent. It's not an opportunity for you to vote it down, but it's a way to make the community feel more engaged in the expenses and understand them more. And then if they pass on commenting, then they passed. But we can bring more cohesiveness and more transparency to the expenditures, I believe. And my time is up, and thank you.
next candidate is Dr. Melora Barardo. Dr. Steve Buckley, number 2. Sorry.
Thank y'all. It's a pleasure, an honor to speak here. My name is Steve Buckley. I'm married to Siobhan Anders Buckley. We've lived here for greater than 30 years. We've been fortunate enough to raise 2 grown children here. And I'm on my 3rd house, so I feel like I know a pulse of Dominion. I was fortunate enough in 1996 to be selected for the Board of Governors here at the club. In 1997, I was fortunate enough to be selected chairman of the club at, quite frankly, not a very good time in Dominion's history. Remember, that was the RTC just sold the whole development, including the country club, to a Hawaii investment firm, the HOAs. There was a whole lot of phone calls, emails, where it made my life pretty uncomfortable. Issues over lack of maintenance, what was the goals of the whole development. And so my answer to that was I called every living remaining chairman of this country club and had them at my house and had the Hueys with their general manager. After frank discussions and give and take, we basically came up and allayed some fears over what the maintenance schedule, what was the development schedule, what was the plan for us. Because let's face it, this country club, and for that matter, this HOA, it directly relates to our value of our houses. The function, the better this country club does, the better the HOA does, better our home values do. So my goal, or my strength, I think, is to bring consensus and increase participation of all the Dominion folks, so it'll be the betterment of the whole neighborhood. Thanks very much. It's Jimmy's mask.
Thank you. Okay, now, Dr. Melora Barardo. Thank you, Barardo. Thank you.
So my name is Melora Barardo. I have lived in San Antonio since, 1976. I've gone to high school, Trinity, and medical school here. I completed my residency program in pathology and did some fellowships in Tennessee and Virginia. So I have lived in the Dominion since 1998. I reside here with Peter and our 2 children. When we moved here, I was a young mother working full-time, and one of the main reasons that I wanted to live here was because of the security. The other reason was my mom and dad were here. They also live here, Peter and Judy Mulgrew. I currently work full-time. I am a physician who is a medical director at Christus Santa Rosa in New Braunfels, so I drive to New Braunfels there and back every day. But now that I am in the empty nest part of my life, I actually have time now to donate to this community, and that's sort of where I am in my life. My skill set is obviously being a medical director. I have served as chief of staff, and I've also served as the president of the medical board in Christus, which essentially entitles, or not entitles, but involves 5 different large hospital campuses and working with hospital administrators and other physicians. The strengths that I think I would bring to the job is that I'm very organized, I'm very efficient, I'll get the job done. So if you assign me a task, I will make sure that I will try to do that with you. I don't have the experience as the other 2 candidates have mentioned and serving before. I will certainly be new to this, but I will have the energy, and if you elect me, I will certainly work hard for you. The issues that I am concerned about are security, as I think most of us are, landscaping, water usage. Certainly with the February storm, I think that's damaged a lot of what we have. I also think disaster preparedness would be something that we should consider. We are certainly looking at that in our medical practice now after the events in February, and I'm not sure if the Dominion Homeowners has that in place or not. That's all I have to say at this moment, and thank you for your time.
Okay, let me see if I can get this one right. Okay, the next one is Nympha Rosinio.
Hi, my name is Nympha Rosinia. I'll give some background about myself. We've lived here about 2 years. Everyone asks about my name. I was named after my Italian grandmother, and I was born in New Orleans. I earned my BSN, and I have an MBA, and I work primarily in the critical care units. I met my husband of now 30 years, and we had 3 daughters. The oldest is at grad school at TCU. The second is manager of a production line, Sarah in Fort Worth. And the third is finishing her 3rd year at OU. I enjoy swimming, biking. I walk around the Dominion a lot, gardening, going to church, shooting targets at Mission Ridge. And before moving to San Antonio, we lived in Fort Worth for 4 years. And it was a great experience. And then my husband accepted a job at UT Health Science Center. And during the interviewing process, we were very happy to find the Dominion. We love the natural setting, spacious feeling, beautiful skylines, in addition to the security and the safe investment for our homes. We feel so fortunate to have the Dominion Country Club, so accessible. It really provides a great sense of community, and we love the fitness center and the pool. The reason I would like to be an HOA board member is primarily community service. I'm retired, I've raised my family, and now is my time to give back to the community. I want to ensure that we maintain the natural setting, continue security for our family, and protect our investment in the Dominion. It is also important to foster good relationships with the Dominion Country Club, surrounding businesses, and within the county. I had an issue that I presented to the HOA, and I realized it is so important that we have an avenue to express our concerns and to be represented by the HOA to third parties. I was treated in a respectful way, and I was listened to intently, and that is what I hope to bring to the HOA. I look forward to serving you, and I hope you vote for me. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Peter Garcia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Garcia, and thank you all for having me here. 5.5 years ago, our family moved into the Dominion. We had lived downtown in a condo for about 10 years. There we saw numerous HOA issues, which was my first experience dealing with the HOA. I was able to help with construction issues as they came up. Eventually, we chose to move to the Dominion for several reasons: security, convenience, and the friendships that we already have in the neighborhood. To be candid, we love living here. This is a great community, and there's always room for some type of improvement. For those of you that know me, I enjoy being efficient and doing things the right way. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, but we can improve on our security and our neighborhood events. For the past 20 years, I worked for Garcia Properties and Garcia Event Services. We manage our own properties, which includes maintenance, finish outs, ground-up construction, and special events. Excuse me. With this background, I'm confident that my strengths can help the HOA along with our committees. Currently, I'm on the development committee. Rich Dietz was so gracious to ask me to be on the committee after we were able to resolve a SAWS issue in one of our neighborhoods. My wife and I have discussed many times where we want to retire, and the Dominion is where it is going to be. We have no intention of ever moving, so you could truly say that I have an emotional investment in our neighborhood. Saying that, I'd like to continue helping our community, the HOA. Thank you all. You can count on me to continue helping the HOA, and best of luck to all of our candidates.
Next candidate is Victor Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm honored to be amongst this fine group of people. We all, I think, share the same goal. We want to make Dominion. It's a fine community. I think we can make it a better place. I think we need to think out of the box. I think we need to, innovate a little bit more and do things a little bit differently going forward. I'd like to start sharing some information about my background. I'm an electronic systems engineer. I have an MBA from Yale University. I've been an investment banker and a business entrepreneur. I own a financial consulting business for small and medium-sized companies. I own a private school. And I'm also now developing multifamily real estate here in San Antonio. I purchased my home in the Dominion 7 years ago. San Antonio has been one of the cities with the largest growth in the country for many years now. When I first came to Dominion, it was pretty much outside city limits, it was a suburban area. It looked like it, felt like it. Growth has more than caught up with our community, excuse me. You could buy land out there on the I-10 access road, about a decade, maybe 15 years ago for $2 a square foot. That land is now worth more than $15 a square foot. Unfortunately for us as city inhabitants, growth in the city brings not only growth, economic growth, but also crime. And the number of burglaries and crimes around and in our neighborhood has grown more than our infrastructure and systems to prevent it. I'm very happy to see such a good turnout of fine people to nominate themselves to the board of directors. I personally nominated myself because I feel there are many areas of improvement for our community, particularly in terms of security and safety. I personally was walking my dog the other day and a car hit me on the side of the road on the arm. I called security. They couldn't figure out who it was. They couldn't stop the car. They couldn't take a picture of it. So I think that just shows, there's a lot that we can do in security infrastructure. We need more cameras. We need better enforcement of community rules to prevent this sort of thing from happening again. We need better technology to prevent theft from happening in our community. We need to consider whether the association can or needs to invest more in technology to prevent the wrong things from happening here. People can trespass into our community, and that is simply unacceptable. Whether I get elected or some of these other fine folks in the room, who some of them I think are better prepared than I am, I urge everybody to consider what is happening and take action as opposed to continue to do things the way they have been done over the past years. Thank you very much, and good luck to everybody.
Next candidate is Spencer Powell.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming out. I'm Spencer Powell. I think I'm uniquely positioned to be on this board because I own the third largest HOA management company in the industry in San Antonio. Having said that, I have no interest in managing this community, but I think my expertise would allow me to help this community in taking care of the issues that are most important to me, one of which is security and implementing the access controls like Mr. Ellis talked about properly, making sure we have the right cameras and we're tracking people we know in there, but without impeding on us leading our lives. There's no reason the back gate should be closed at 10 o'clock. There's no reason you should have to stop at midnight to get checked in. There are more efficient and effective ways to do all of this and all the things that we're doing in the HOA. And I know how to do that because that's what I do all day, every day. So I'll keep it short and sweet. There's a lot of other people who need to speak. So thank y'all so much.
Okay, our last but not least candidate, Barry Rupert.
Thank you, Sandy. It's just me between you and drinks, so I'll keep it short. I've lived in the Dominion since 1993, and I joined the development committee in 2011, and was on it through 2018 when I was elected to the HOA. At that time, I joined the finance committee. And then in 2019, became treasurer and finance committee chair. And while I'm going to make a presentation at the annual meeting this year, I just thought this might be an opportunity to say a couple of words about that. Over the past year, we have had to renew two of our two largest contracts, security and landscape. And the landscape and security committees, along with our staff, I think did a fantastic job with the RFP process and recommended bidders that met our needs and also were very price competitive. The Finance Committee agreed with that, and the board approved those two contracts. But since we'd had contracts in place, and there were fixed price contracts for many, many years, these new contracts were substantially more expensive. And though we were able to keep most budgets flat, one went down, a few went up a little this year, it was still required an increase in assessments, as I'm sure you all are aware at this point in time. Our budget's break even. It's thin, but I have great confidence that our management, staff, and board are going to make sure that we hit it or are underneath our budget this year. So if reelected, I'd like to remain on the Finance Committee. I want to work with Finance Committee members, other committees, as well as the board, to continue to ensure our finances are sound, which they are today and have been in the past. I want to ensure that we have discipline, that we know where money's coming from before we decide to spend it. I want to make sure we fairly distribute the cost of infrastructure, maintenance, and replacement, not only across Dominion members, which we do today, but also across current and future Dominion members. So we currently project out 30 years of what our infrastructure repair and maintenance costs are. It's important that we continue to do that, and I'm sure we will. And finally, I'd like to ensure that any proposed increases, whether it be for security or anything else, are beneficial to Dominion members. That is, that they create more value than they cost. This year, our budget for security is $2 million. It's 45% of our operating income. So we do spend a lot of money on that. If we can spend it better, smarter, I'm all for it. But most of that is contractual. Most of it's contractual. I've appreciated serving for 3 years, and if reelected, I would enjoy serving for 3 more. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think I'm in the market for a new eye doctor since I can't read my own writing. I'm skipped Sylvia Hans. I'm really sorry. I can't read my own writing. Now our last candidate. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the current board members as they do take on a huge responsibility to make sure that our community is running to its full potential. A lot of work goes on that we don't see behind doors. So one reason that we decided to move to the Dominion is because it reminds us of our hometown in Bernie, a very family-oriented neighborhood, making it the perfect place to retire. Of course, its proximity to the Rim, hospitals, restaurants is also very good. Safety and security is one of the most important things to our family, and this being a 24-hour man-gated community, along with the professional guards that are patrolling our neighborhoods around the clock, is a plus. We love the diversity of the community. As far as I know, there's over 2,700 families of diverse backgrounds that reside here, all to enjoy the 1,500 plus acres of beautiful landscaping, green belts, and the man-made lakes that the Dominion offers. Families are able to enjoy swimming, tennis, social clubs. It truly has unmatched luxury living at its best with a country club around the corner. I would like to bring fresh ideas to the board about landscaping, transparency, and security. To protect our property values and the curb appeal, among other things, landscaping is very essential, not only for the residents, but also for potential buyers on the market to move here. Entering those gates should take you to another level of beauty. A huge portion of our budget is allocated for landscaping maintenance, so we really need to make it count. Secondly is transparency. Many breakdowns occur because of lack of information. I personally called down to the HOA office last Thursday to ask for a copy of our 2021 budget, and literally within minutes, it was in my email. That is great service. keeping everyone up to date with the budget can help clear up a lot of questions, especially if the other departments are running as efficiently. That's, again, transparency and great service. Lastly, a big topic for us is, again, security, one of the most important aspects of the community. We do live next to a highway, and for many families, this is their second home, which means a great part of the year those properties are vacant. The break-ins have increased, so we do need to take precautions, increase patrolling, perhaps even consider a perimeter fencing. Security is one of the reasons that attracted us to move here in the first place, so this is very vital to address. I can make a change here, bringing my real estate background experience to the board, taking that time to have that personal conversation with a homeowner. I feel that we can together build a stronger bond, trust, and stimulate more active involvement from our members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd personally like to thank the field of candidates that we have. It's wonderful to have so many people running to be on the board, and we've got a really qualified slate running this year, so I really appreciate you all volunteering to serve. It's quite a ride. So thank you all for coming here in person. Those of you that are joining us remotely, the candidates will still be around to meet and greet, and if you have any further questions. Again, thank you all for coming this evening, and we'll see you at the annual meeting. Thank you.